Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special edition of the Social Impact Series. Today is a particularly fun one for me because I get to talk with someone that I have the pleasure of collaborating with every day, Greg Fitzgerald, who serves as Chief Technology Officer here at Vircho and is truly one of the most innovative thinkers in the technology space that I've ever had the pleasure of working with. Greg and I spend a lot of time imagining what's possible for social care networks, and today we're going to bring a bit of that to the conversation with all of you. Specifically, this week is Greg is going to walk us through two capabilities that his team has been exploring relating to leveraging agentic AI. The first is how agentic AI can orchestrate existing closed loop referral systems, reducing the need for humans to perform rote, repeatable tasks. And the second is how AI and LLMs can help organizations explore their data through natural language. Before we dive into the demos, though, Greg, could you talk a little bit more about where Vircho believes AI is heading and also the impact it can have on the social care space?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ashley. Social care is at its core a human-powered solution space. And this is great, right? We're providing care and support to underserved populations. It's about the most human thing we can do as a society. But it means that scaling a program meant for, say, 20 or 100 recipients to tens or even hundreds of thousands of recipients requires similarly scaling the humans in the loop, the caseworkers, the care managers, the delivery drivers, et cetera. And I think this poses a huge challenge in a space that's always going to be operating with limited funding and resources. We've heard from many leaders in the social care space that these workers spend the bulk of their time on non-differentiated tasks, calling community benefit organizations to see if they're accepting new members, double or even triple documenting across multiple siloed systems, performing prescribed screenings required by the state, et cetera, and not enough of their time using the skills that make them valuable in the first place, doing the care management, case management, and clinical decision making. AI, and I think specifically agentic AI, has the potential to turn this ratio on its head. Much has been said in popular culture about how AI is coming for our jobs, and I get it. I'm a software engineer at heart and in my day job, and no job is more threatened by AI right now than I think software development. But I firmly believe that AI will actually help us result in humans doing more of what we love about our work, the bit that we're uniquely qualified to do, applying our lived experiences to novel and emerging situations while eliminating or at least reducing the day-to-day minutia that kind of fritters away our focus and our energy. As I think about agentic AI in this space, the second thing that jumps to mind is we have to be careful with how we leverage this, right? It is a new and emerging technology, a frontier capability. And that comes with novel risks and dangers. We've all heard of AI hallucinations, but other issues like prompt injection and data exfiltration attacks are real concerns in this space. At Virtuo, we've been thoughtful in our approach to implementing AI within our product. It is opt-in for our clients who choose to use it. And the old Facebook adage of move fast and break stuff does not really generalize well when dealing with protected health information and HIPAA. All of our AI use is done solely within the existing security and compliance perimeters of our major platform vendors that the rest of our application runs on. And we've taken great care to avoid what has been dubbed the lethal trifecta of AI use, which is access to private data, untrusted input, and the ability to communicate externally. We've ensured that all of our AI usages are sandboxed and constrained by our existing role-based access controls. And therefore, we've got great confidence in how we can leverage it to solve the problems of our clients.
Lethal trifecta. I'm absolutely going to steal that. That's a good phrase of the day. So thanks for that, Greg. So thinking about this in the context of social care organizations that are already relying on a closed loop referral system, and they've invested heavily in making that work for them and within their organizations and their workflows. What we've been exploring at Virtuo is how AI can actually operate within those existing systems, enhancing them, adding intelligence, and taking on some of the coordination work that staff are typically doing in a heavily labor-intensive process today. So as part of that, we wanted Greg to show what it looks like when an AI agent supports the referral process from inside the organization's existing workflow and the potential that has to really allow those teams, as Greg mentioned, to operate at the top of their license.
Perfect. Let me share my screen here. Great. And so what I'm going to walk us through here is a prototype of an agentic solution for orchestrating the closed loop referral systems that our clients contract with and use today. And these systems perform, great work for on behalf of our clients and are hugely valuable. But they do require a lot of manual interaction in order to drive forward. So what I'm going to show today is an agent that we have trained and instructed on some of the programs and service offerings and workflows that go into creating a referral. I haven't given this one a pithy name yet, but I'm sure at some point we'll come up with something. Uh, and I want to show how we can leverage this to reduce the kind of manual burden of eligibility checking, service lookup, and finding the right community benefit organizations to provide the service to a member. So out the gate, I'm going to go ahead and ask this agent to provide a referral. Please forgive any typos or spelling mistakes. So the agent here is going to go ahead and make sure that it has enough information to verify the identity of the member that I've put in. We've trained this that you need to do 3-point identity checking. Sarah's. Great. So we're going to double check the eligibility of Sarah. I'm going to look up the right service for her. And as this goes, you can see it's both responding to us as it goes, but also showing us these little icons here. And what we've done is we've gone ahead and implemented what's called in the agentic world tool use within this agent. And these tools allow for the more deterministic work that you would expect. Things like listing the services that are available within a specific county or searching for service recipients, while providing that information to the agent to make more non-deterministic use out of. So at the moment, it's gone through the process and it's realized that the last piece of information required here is which county Sarah lives in, because these are the counties supported by the program. So Sarah lives in Yancey County. Oh, goodness. Okay. As we provide that last piece of information, the agent is going to go back through and continue on its workflow. So here it's listed, determined that there are 6 CBOs within Yancey County able to provide food boxes and has identified which ones have capacity. And now it's going to go through the process of creating a request for service, submitting it, approving it, and then eventually generating referrals to the top 3 service organizations that are available.
Excellent. This feels to me, Greg, like such a step forward when we think about how all of this work was done manually by people that were using these systems in the past. To be able to automate that, systematize it, and make it really scalable, I think is a huge step forward. So
Awesome.
fantastic.
Yeah. And if we wait just a few more seconds here, we'll see, and I'll toggle across to our more traditional UI. We'll see that what's happened here, and this is just a prototype of a closed loop referral system that we've stubbed out in our application, is that now the care manager who would be receiving this or managing this referral, as well as the CBOs themselves, would have access to the referrals which have been created. So this is a stand-in for what a client might see or what a CBO might see in their existing closed loop referral system to show how the standard UI and systems that our clients and users are using can be dovetailed into the work that the agent can do.
And just to clarify, Greg, this capability would work with any closed loop referral system that organizations might already have in place?
Yeah, I think we'd be able to integrate with anything that exposed some of this capability as an API.
Mhm.
The second option is, and this requires kind of a more in-depth kind of exploration, but is around some emerging tools called computer use or browser use, which would actually enable an agent to um, click around within the closed loop referral system itself to make the
Mhm.
referrals on behalf of a user.
Okay, excellent.
Great.
Anything else you want like to show Greg before we move on to my second big question of the day for you?
No, that'll do it.
All right. So what you just showed us was a great example of AI working within systems organizations already are using and trust and have in place and workflows built around them, et cetera. But once you orchestrate the work, the next natural question is, how do we learn from it, right? And that brings us to something that you're calling chatting with your data.
Sure, that's about as pithy as it gets. Yeah, chatting with your data. So part of what we've done at Vircho over the past several years as we've worked with our clients is to build out a fairly robust data model for the various components and data that we need to do reporting on for our clients. And one of the things that we've begun to do lately is to leverage that data model in a more agentic fashion. So I'll demonstrate here again another proof of concept or prototype, but working with real anonymized data within our data model for being able to kind of talk to our data. So I'm going to walk through two different scenarios. The first is around querying referral information within the system. So we're going to go ahead with and kind of type in a few questions here and see if we can get some responses back. So the first thing I want to look into is a scenario in which I'm looking for analyzing referral rejections. So we're going to check which service organizations have rejected the most referrals in the last year. Let's only include the top three organizations. So this is going to think about this for a little while. And what's actually happening in the background is it's taking my natural language query, it's turning it into a structured query language or SQL query, and then it's going to execute it against the actual underlying data model. And we'll see that sure enough, it has given me the top three service organizations by rejected referral count. But as frequently happens in data analysis, you don't get everything you need on the first question, or the first question often drives additional follow-ups. So here we're going to extend this and let's find out what the top two services uh, that are being rejected by each of these organizations. What are the rejection rates for each? And so as this thinks about this a little bit, what we're doing here is building up the context around how to generate this query. So each subsequent question that I ask of this data model knows what the previous questions were, as well as the SQL that was generated in those previous questions. So here we'll see that um, we've added to this a new dimension, which is the requested service name, as well as new metrics, right? So we continue to have our rejected referral counts, but now we have our rejection referral rates as well. And these are calculations that we've defined within our data model that have been made available to the agent. And then so lastly, we can go ahead and extend this just a little bit further. And we can kind of say, let's compare and I did have this one pre-canned, so I pasted it in there because I couldn't type anymore. How do these rejection rates compare to the overall rejection rate average for the given service? And we're going to ask it to flag anything that looks kind of out of whack. And so this shows how increasingly more complex queries, things that would require, in general, a SQL analyst or a data analyst to execute can be done by data informed, but not, SQL developer type business users. burning the midnight
Wow.
oil on this one.
I can imagine. Yeah. It's incredible how far we've come and also the potential of all of this to really transform the work that so many teams are doing in the space.
Yeah, so this one is really cool in that it's a very complicated query in which we're generating an average rejection rate across the services and then comparing the specific organization's rejection rate and determining which ones are at or higher than average or below average. So this is very, very cool stuff. From here, you could download this, you could turn it into a report. Of plenty of other capabilities. So before I head on to the second kind of demonstration of chatting with your data around invoices, any additional questions there, Ashley?
I would just say that I can see such potential in this because one of the things that we consistently hear when we're talking to, care managers at MCOs or community health workers at social care networks is that even if they have the closed loop referral capability in place and they've built workflows around it, there's a real concern about those referrals being rejected. And the lack of visibility into that is a problem because it's a bad experience for the organization, it's a bad experience for the member, it's a bad experience for the CBO. So all around, our ability to visualize this kind of data and be more proactive about directing those referrals and making sure that they are accepted, getting the right member to the right CBO at the right time for the right service. There's huge possibility we could unlock by doing that. And it seems to be a pervasive problem. So it's really exciting to hear that there might be a technology-based approach to solving that.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I'll show a little bit how this dovetails into our existing application in the next example. But I think it doesn't take too much straining to see how, having refined this query in natural language, we could save it as, an alert or a notification that gets generated as new organizations kind of cross a boundary, right? And so we can then make that a very actionable piece of information, not just an analytic piece of information. So
And that
there,
real-time nature is so important because we know for a fact that CBO capacity is dynamic, right? And so it's changing at all times. And so the ability to see that, to capture it, to incorporate it into the model, I think it's going to be transformational.
That's right. Very good. Let me switch over here and talk briefly about querying kind of invoicing data, which is another major data entity in our data model. So we're going to go ahead and do a similar chat with our data exercise here. We're going to look for organizations have submitted the most amount of invoices for a specific service here. And we're going to use housing move-in support. Actually, it doesn't matter. I'll leave the typo in there. It can handle it. All right, excellent. And from here, I'm going to ask it to do two more things. I'm going to ask it to add in the average amount invoiced for each, and then flag any with an average amount over $1,000. Also include a link to the invoice search for each record. So this is going to be fairly interesting in that it will allow us to take this natural language query and jump over into some existing reporting capability that we've built out for our clients, but with this context applied. So let's wait for that to finish up. And so we'll see it's added in the average invoice amount. It's flagged high invoice amounts. And it's also going to allow us to open directly into an existing Vircho analytics report around invoice details. This has been pre-filtered to match the invoices that were surfaced as part of this query. And so it's very interesting to think about how the agentic model of the world and interrogating your data can be joined to the more standard pre-built reporting and analytics and visualizations that we in business intelligence that we've done for the last 5 years at Vircho and the last 20 years as an industry. And I think that kind of hybrid approach as we look to the future is where we'll see a lot of value in the industry.
Hmm. Wow. What you just showed, Greg, it really highlights how accessible and actionable data can be useful for organizations when they don't have to translate right from these disparate systems or wait on manual reports to be generated. They can simply ask a question, get a response with clarity, and get on to the work that they are intending to do. It feels like this is a powerful shift in how teams will be working in the future and how they'll use this kind of data to guide their decisions and their actions and their planning as an organization.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think that shortening the need for an expert in the loop for the querying part of this is
Mhm.
important. Clearly, an expert is still needed in the loop for the data modeling and how we make the data available, and how we make sure it's correct, right? And so I think that's where the real power of these agentic query models will come in.
Yep. Well, what Greg has shown today reflects Vircho's commitment to empowering social care organizations with tools that simplify all of this work, right? The coordination, creating insights, strengthening partnerships, and being able to drive impact at scale. So, Greg, thank you as always for bringing your innovative thinking and leadership to this space and all of the work that you and your team are doing to drive it forward. And thank you all for joining this episode of our Social Impact Series. We'll see you next time.